So this next challenge from CodeMonkey's GameDev Practice Lab is to implement a traffic controller for a kind of a city scene that's already been set up. So if you're not sure what this practice lab is, you can check the link in the description for an intro video in the playlist to all the previous challenges. So what this is he's given us various scenes that represent a city in different ways, and what they do is they spawn cars which then are following along a spline which has been put in the road, and they all the cars have got different kind of prefabs and they go in different speeds, and as you can see they rear end each other and will kind of cause all sorts of chaos. And the idea of the challenge is to try to implement logic for the cars so that they're not smashing into each other, so that they're obeying stop signs, they're obeying traffic lights, not going into blocked intersections, and so forth. So basically, I have failed this challenge spectacularly. I haven't been able to do it. At the beginning, I was able to do the first one or the first two where they were not rear-ending each other's, but as you've just seen from there, I've now broken that later on by trying to implement the stop sign rules. I've already spent quite a lot of time on the challenge and I've decided just to stop. This is the kind of thing where I'm not likely to implement a game of this kind, so whilst it would be an interesting challenge to do, I have to limit my time on it. So I will still put, after this kind of intro, the implementation for what I tried to do, so you can see what I've attempted, but just as a heads up, it's not working. Okay. So this is scene one. I have got the settings, the spawn rate very low at the moment, so you can see more clearly whether or not we've got a fast car which is kind of accelerating and then will slow down. So what I'm really looking for here is a sports car to spawn. I have changed the spawns a little bit so to make the sports cars more common, and of course every time I turn my camera on, there we go, you can see one there. So that came up quite quickly and then has slowed down and is matching the very slow car in front. The cop car is also quite quick, there we go, so that's now slowing down for that one. Now this was all working okay until I started to speed things up. So if I come over to here and change the spawn rate to 0.5, so what that's going to be doing is spawning a new car in every half a second, and I found that it kept crashing over and over until I managed to fix various things. So I've also changed the timer on here on the scene setting to have it run for a full minute before it will actually register a success, because I found that it could work quite a while, and it seemed to be going fine, but eventually a crash would always occur. But now I think I have got this working, so I should just be able to let this run. You can see there a sports car actually spawned in, and now they're just all poodling along nice and slowly, and I can just let this run. I'm not going to sit here for a whole minute, but it does work. Okay, so I've had to do quite a few things to get all of this working. I will just let this run for a few more seconds here. That's okay. Yeah, I think you can see it's actually working fine. So I did a few changes on the car prefabs. So on the base car, what I've added something called a bumper point, which is literally just an empty object which is set just a little bit in front of the car, and what it does is it does a raycast from there forwards to check what's in front of it in order to judge its speed. Now the other thing that I had to do was modify the colliders on all of the various car prefabs, because what I found was that some of the colliders were actually just a little bit too small, and as the traffic was backing up and a new car spawned in, it's using its colliders to check whether or not it's clear to spawn, and it actually wasn't, and so this was one of the reasons why the crashes kept happening. So I've changed that on all of them. And the other thing that I've done is I've changed the speed of every single car, so they're all different. A lot of them were kind of the same. So the sporty one's the fastest on 30, and then a cop on 20. I can't remember which one was the really slow one. Was it the sedan? I think it was the sedan. Yeah, so I've done that on the prefabs, but of course most of the work is on the code itself, so the car driver code. Now I did make a bit of a change to the car driver base. What I have done here is I have added a method called break and a boolean called is the handbrake on. I wanted to allow basically the car to be at a stop, actually not moving. So is handbrake on? It starts off true. So basically once the car spawns in, it's not moving immediately. And then in all the various checks in here, I'm adding this handbrake check there. So what my car driver script does is basically calculating the speed. And it's doing this by drawing that ray cast. So it's casting a ray from that bumper point, which is just in front of the car, and having a look forward. And I've got two distance variables here. One is the check distance, is how far in front it's looking. And then the stopping distance is if it's below that, it's just going to stop. So what it's doing here is it's having a look to see if it's actually a vehicle that it's hit. So later on, when we do the other objectives, it needs to check for things like stop signs. Actually, I don't know, that might be done in a different way, but I just put them all on a vehicle tag for the moment. So if it's less than the stopping distance, it's going to return a 0. Otherwise, what this line here does is it's adjusting, I've got an extra semicolon in there, it's adjusting the speed based on how far away it is from the check distance. So the further away the car in front is, the faster it will go, and the nearer it is, the slower it will go. And what this is doing is it's passing in that speed as a multiplier into the move forward method, and this is what has been created by CodeMonkey. So he has got a method somewhere on here called move forward. It takes in a speed multiplier which defaults to 1. So if it's anything other than that, obviously it's going to change the way the linear velocity works. So that is now working. So that is the first two objectives done. I'm having such a hard time with this challenge. So I'm on the third one of the basic objectives, which is to try to observe the stop sign rules. So what I've done on the stop sign is it's on the prefab here. I've basically given it a massive great collider which stretches across the whole road, but it's just a trigger. And then I'm in my code where I'm already looking, I'm doing like a raycast to see if I've hit anything. I'm having a look to see if the stop sign has been hit. And it is looking at it. So if I run this, you can't really see that car at the bottom there, but it has stopped. But then it just all goes to shit, and they're now just being shunted around everywhere by this whole long line of cars, and it just gets more and more chaotic as everything has just completely gone wrong. And I think the problem that I'm having with this challenge is I just don't understand the code and the physics behind it. I mean, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to do something with the stop sign. I'm trying to give it like a timer to say, all right, once you've stopped for the stop sign, pause for a couple of seconds and then you can ignore it and carry on. But yeah, it's just not working. And I've tried doing things in the base class. I can get rid of that now because that obviously wasn't working. And I just don't really understand. I don't understand the root project that we've been given, and I think that's the main problem. I just don't understand the physics. I don't really understand oh my god, the splines or anything. Oh look, the scene's failed. What a surprise. That's actually quite funny. How many cars can we get in the scene? Wow. Okay. So yeah, I don't know how much time I want to spend on this challenge. This is something that I've been thinking about. I need to restrict how much time I want to spend on these because I'm never going to make a game like this, so it doesn't really matter. That is really quite amusing. But anyway, yes, just thought I'd share where I was at the moment. Having thought about this some more, I think you can see the car there is trying to stop as it goes through the stop sign. I think the problem is that I've been trying to handle the logic with some simple kind of flags, and what's really needed for this, oh my god, is more of a okay, I'm just going to stop that, is more of a state machine, because you've got different kind of states that the car can be in. It can be like, okay, it's detected a car in front and therefore it stopped because of that. With a stop sign, it's a little bit different because when it first encounters the stop sign, it needs to be in a stopped state, but then there needs to be a certain amount of time elapsed where it's then allowed to go through that stop sign. And this is only going to get more complex as I tried to do the other objectives, you know, for things like the intersections and the traffic lights. So the way I'm kind of seeing it now is that just having a few flags, it's not working. I mean, my code is already looking a bit convoluted and a bit dodgy. And I think what this really needs is to kind of sit down and figure out a state machine for all the different states that the car could be in, or the road could be in, or both. I'm not really sure. But at this point, I'm just not going to put the time in for that. I've spent too long on this already. Same as with the CCTV one, and I have to limit my time. So I am just going to declare this as pretty much a complete failure. It was interesting to work on, but yeah, I don't understand the physics, and I don't have time to sit there and try and figure out a state machine. So I'm going to leave it there and hope that I do better with the next one. All right, that's all I've got. Thanks so much for watching, guys.